Welcome to the African News Update on Top Accolade News. The headline: Mozambique opens national dialogue to address post-election crisis. South Sudan resumes oil production. Nairobi coffee auction nets 957 million shillings. Zimbabwe government faces backlash over plans to prioritize water services in urban areas. In politics, Mozambique opens national dialogue to address post-election crisis. The national dialogue aimed at resolving Mozambique's post-election crisis opened Thursday at the Presidential Palace in Maputo, bringing together political parties and civil society groups. The meeting, attended by representatives from Frelimo, Renamo Podemos, MDM, and Nova Democracia, seek to find lasting solution to the political tension that have rocked the country since the October elections. President Filipe Nyusi emphasized the need for an inclusive approach that represents all sectors of society, while also discussing ongoing reforms like decentralization and potential constitutional revisions. Dialogue comes as the country tussles with political division and violence, with over 100 civilians reported dead in the post-election unrest. Shifting focus to economy, South Sudan resumes oil production. South Sudan has announced plans to resume oil production aiming at 90,000 barrels per day after a year-long suspension caused by the conflict in neighboring Sudan. With oil accounting for 90% of South Sudan's GDP, the country is eager to rebuild its economy following the disruption of exports. The suspension was lifted on January 4th, and South Sudan is now set to restart operation as of January 8, 2025. While government officials remain committed to the oil sector's role in financing development, environmental concerns persist as activists continue to criticize the industry's impact on health and the environment. Despite the challenges, both South Sudan and Sudan hope the oil resumption will help alleviate their financial burdens. Still in economy, Nairobi coffee auction nets 957 million shillings. The latest coffee auction at the Nairobi Coffee Exchange raised 957.3 million shillings after 18,138 bags were sold, with 12 dealers participating. While the total earnings were lower than the previous auction, which saw 1.1 billion shillings from 21,636 bags, the market witnessed strong prices for quality beans. Experts call on farmers to increase production of high-quality coffee to capitalize on strong market demand, with prices reminiscent of those seen 15 years ago. Moving on in economy, Zimbabwe government faces backlash over plans to privatize water services in urban areas. The Zimbabwean government's decision to privatize water services in urban areas, including a partnership with a Chinese company to build a new water treatment reservoir for Harare, has sparked strong opposition. Local government minister Daniel Gare acknowledged the cost involved but defended the move, claiming it will improve service delivery and make water more affordable. However, residents and advocacy groups argue that the privatization could lead to higher tariffs, making access to water unaffordable for low-income families. Critics also argue that the government is undermining local authorities and pushing a business agenda, while some supporters argue that the privatization is necessary for improving efficiency and accountability in water supply management. You are watching the African News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. In disaster, over 58,000 displaced by earthquake in Ethiopia's AFAR region. In Ethiopia's AFAR region, more than 58,000 people have been displaced after a series of earthquakes, some measuring up to 5.8 in magnitude, struck 2 districts. The quake has caused widespread panic and significant property damage, though no major injuries have been reported. Temporary shelters have been set up and humanitarian aid, including food, water, and medical services, is being provided. Damage to infrastructure, including health facilities and key roads, has further complicated relief efforts. Meanwhile, the Ethiopian Red Cross and regional authorities continue to assess the situation and deliver assistance to those affected. Moving to conflict. M23 rebels seeks control of key mining areas in eastern Congo. M23 rebels active in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo are reportedly expanding their control over mineral-rich territories, with the United Nations accusing them of exploiting local resources to finance their operation. The Tutsi-led group, allegedly backed by Rwanda, though Kigali denies the claim, has set up shadows administration in key towns since April 2024, controlling vital mines and trade routes. The rebels are accused of using forced labor and collecting taxes from mineral exports, including coltan, which is crucial in electronics manufacturing. This ongoing violence has displaced over 100,000 people in just the past month and exacerbated the global conflict on minerals. In entertainment, Belinda BAIDOO calls for financial support to revitalize Ghana's fashion industry. International fashion model and creative director of BB Boutique, Belinda BAIDOO, is urging both the Ghanaian government and private investors to provide financial support to the country's fashion industry. BAIDOO highlighted its sector's immense potential for job creation and economic growth, stressing that inadequate funding and neglect are hindering its global recognition. She called for tax relief on fashion imports and financial backing for local manufacturers, designers, and retailers, emphasizing that supporting local entrepreneurs and small businesses is key to unlocking the full potential of Ghana's fashion industry. Now in sports, South Africa's sport minister calls for boycotts of Afghanistan in Champions Trophy. South Africa's sport minister Gaten McKenzie has voiced support for a boycott of Afghanistan in the upcoming Champions Trophy in Pakistan, joining British politicians who are urging England to do the same. Both South Africa and England are in the same group as Afghanistan, and pressure is mounting on both teams to boycott their fixture due to Taliban's crackdown on women's rights. McKenzie, reflecting on South Africa's own history of apartheid, stated that it would be immoral to play against a nation that restricts women's access to sports. The call for action is gaining momentum, with over 160 British politicians backing a similar boycott for England's match in Lahore. That concludes our African news update for today. Stay tuned for more African news and developments. Thanks for joining us. I am Ojo Okocha. Connect and engage with us on all our social media handles. Do have a wonderful day.